Hey, I'm Stephanie, and it's time for New Makeup Madness, where my inner makeup monster tries to convince me that I need all the new makeup. And I say no. Or no? As much as I adore the idea of playing with new makeup, I have more than enough old makeup to keep me busy for quite some time. So I am going to try to let common sense rule the day and put my makeup monster in her place. I'm working with a makeshift setup today because one of my lights literally just exploded. So until I can get a new one, I had to come up with kind of an off-the-cuff solution. It looks okay to me in the viewfinder, but oftentimes I don't see frustrating mistakes until I'm editing. So we'll see what editing Stephanie has to say about it. You're good. Luckily, today we're not focusing on the makeup on my face, we're focusing on the new makeup releases, which I have pulled up over here. So if you see me looking in this direction, that's what I'm gawking at. Everything we discussed today will be linked in the show notes, and now we are going to jump onto Instagram and check out Trend Mood 1 to see what catches my eye. And it looks like there are new blushes from Tower 28. Never mind, they're from Urban Decay, but can you see why I thought that at first glance? Let's read the description. It looks like this is a long-lasting blush with a suede soft feel, a blurred matte finish, and a waterproof, sweat-proof, and fade-resistant oil-in powder formula that delivers up to 24 hours of rich color, retailing for $24 US. I have to say, I think the description draws me in more than the colors do. Not because they're bad colors, I just feel like I have all of them already. My makeup monster fell asleep when she saw the colors, but her ears perked right up as soon as she heard blurred matte finish, because she does like a good blur. And also waterproof, sweat-proof, fade-resistant, oil-in powder formula. That sounds intriguing. What exactly is an oil-in powder formula? I am an oily combo skin girl, but I still tend to prefer creams over powders because I like the way they sit on my skin a little bit better. So this oil-in powder formula, will it sit on the skin like a cream but have all the advantages of a powder? Let's see when I could theoretically try these out. Oh, they've been out since January 17th. I am clearly behind the times here. But that means that people could have theoretically tried this by now. Have you? Is this oil in powder phenomenon what I'm hoping and dreaming it is? If I take a closer look at the very pretty but standard colors, I think the shade Situationship, that's the brick kind of terracotta-y color, maybe interests me the most. It looks a little bit boring and kind of straight up orange-red in the pan, but that powder swatch behind it is a little bit more interesting because it looks like it might have some brown in it. Then again, now that I'm looking at the cheek swatches, it does look like it would be kind of your typical sunburn blush on my complexion anyway. It's pretty, but I have NARS Exhibit A, and I have never had any problem with the finish or the wear time on that blush, so my makeup monster isn't really getting out of hand here. Moving on to another blush release in very pretty packaging, the YSL Make Me Blush 24-Hour Buildable Powder Blush. The makeup world is really into making sure we're blushing around the clock this year, huh? I'm not complaining though. I'm all for a long-wearing blush. It looks like YSL is only releasing some of the colors in North America, but a whole lot more in Europe. That's not fair. Why do companies do that? I happen to be in Europe, so I'm happy that my location is actually putting me at an advantage for once, because my favorite colors in the line happen to be in the European release. When I look at the powder swatches of the colors released in the US, I think I'm initially drawn the most to 6 Rose Haze and 57 Coral Clash. And it's funny because normally I'm drawn to the nude colors, but neither of the shades with nude in the name actually look nude to me. Peachy Nude looks quite vividly peach, and Nude Lavalier looks quite punchy and bright, both on the darker and the lighter skin tones when I look at the cheek swatches. The color that's really catching my eye is from the European range, and it is shade 12 Nocturnal Nude. But not just based on these swatches. I have also seen creators like Miriam A. and Lock Maiden swatch this shade and apply it, and based on everything I've seen, it looks like if there is a shade that's made for me in this blush collection, it is Nocturnal Nude. And at this point, Is anyone surprised that I want the most beige version of a thing? But it's not just the color. I also feel like it's the finish because it looks like this blush range has several different finishes. Some of the blushes are very matte, some of them have sparkle to them, but this one has a satin finish, which is exactly my taste. Nocturnal Nude is the one I would want. Correction, it is the one I do want because my makeup monster has already thrown a couple of fits about it, so it has been in and out of my cart twice now. But to be honest, it could actually be a smart purchase for me. I don't have very much space left in my blush drawer for new purchases at all, but Clinique's Nude Pop is my current favorite peachy blush, and it is on its last legs. I'm gonna try to hold it up really carefully so it doesn't fall apart. Since I only have a couple of uses left of this, I'm thinking that maybe Nocturnal Nude could be a good replacement. When I first mentioned that the end of Nude Pop was nigh, I got several great suggestions for potential replacements for this from you. I wrote them all down on a list, and I'm planning on taking that list into town and seeing how many of them I can swatch to see what my next nude blush might be. So I think what I'll do is I will add Nocturnal Nude to that list of potentials and see what I end up with. I'm just not in that much of a hurry to replace this. Yes, I might use it up in the next week, but I do also have Cedar Rose from Lancome, and although that's more of a pinky nude blush on me, it's nude enough that I don't feel the need to rush out and get something new. This year, my Adagio beauty or slow shopping journey is organically turning into a pretty strict low buy for several different reasons. One of them is just because ever since I started using the container concept to store my makeup, I'm realizing I just don't have room for a whole lot of new things. But also, I haven't been doing all that much shopping for several years now, and that means that a lot of my products are getting up there in age, and that is giving me even more inspiration to enjoy using them before they potentially go off. To make a long story short, yes, I am interested in this YSL blush, so much so that you might even end up seeing it in my collection at some point, but no, I will not be running out to purchase it just yet. A new makeup release that I did purchase with my channel's budget is this from Manasi 7. I'm currently working on a review of their all over color product, and they just released a new shade called Chatoyer. My French is horrible, but I think that it means a color that changes depending on the light, and that is a perfect name for this. They describe it as a neutral brown shade with cold undertones for lips, eyes, and cheeks that can double as a bronzer. Its roots are in the same color family as all over color Manchetti, which I guess is one of their best-selling shades, and it's kind of a creamy latte color. I have light neutral skin that pulls ever so slightly golden in undertone, and on me, this looks like a cool mid-toned chocolatey brown. And just for reference, I'm wearing Chatoyer on my lips today. It could be a blush, it could be a contour. On me, I don't know that it would work as a bronzer, and I can't exactly decide what the undertones in the brown are. Sometimes they look purple, sometimes they look pink, sometimes they even look peachy. It really does depend on the light. I'll go into more depth in my full review, but what I'll say for today is that the Manasi 7 All Over Color product is one of the few color cosmetics I've tried that really does work well all over the face, on the eyes, the cheeks, and the lips. It wears well, it looks beautiful, it has completely won me over. So if you've been looking for a brownish, blushy, contoury, bronzery sort of cream cheek product, then the All Over Color in the new shade Chatoyer might be worth taking a look at. Back to the new releases on Trend Mood, Guerlain is coming out with new shades and a new finish of their Kisskiss Bee Glow tinted lip balms, and they look quite pretty. Let's read the description. A tinted lip balm infused with honey and made with 98% naturally derived ingredients. What does that even mean, Guerlain? What is a naturally derived ingredient? Couldn't we argue that everything is naturally derived? I mean, plastic, for example. That comes from petroleum, which came from oil, and oil used to be plants and animals that lived millions of years ago and then died and just kind of fermented into black goo. I don't know, it's marketing jargon. But it revives the natural color of the lips with a touch of glowing shine with 24-hour hydrating care. Another 24-hour product, 2025. It's the year of 24-hour makeup. But is Guerlain saying that if I put one of these pretty little lip tints on my lips just once, that my lips will feel hydrated and juicy for 24 hours straight? That sounds amazing, but based on my past experiences with lip balms, it feels like it would be a stretch. Have you tried these? Are they really that hydrating? If I recall correctly, when this range first released, Angela from the channel French for a Day had mentioned that they were pretty long-wearing for a lip balm. But as much as she liked them, I don't recall her saying that they provided a miraculous amount of moisture. And for me, 24 hours feels pretty miraculous. But here's the thing, I am kind of in the market for a new luxury lip balm. Over the past couple of years, I have learned that I'm the type of person who really enjoys having just one or two really luxurious lip balms that make me feel fancy, instead of having a whole bunch of cheap lip balms in every purse and pocket. My current one and only luxury lip balm is this one from Gucci Beauty in the shade Esther Rosewood, and this is not much longer for this world. I've really enjoyed having it in this formula, in this kind of moodier shade, but I think what I've learned is that I would like to slightly expand my luxury lip balm collection to maybe also include a lighter, brighter shade just for more options. Looking at the new colors from Guerlain, shade 878 Pearly Dahlia looks like it might be a nice deeper option, and shade 389 Pearly Peach looks like it might be a nice brighter option. At least they look that way in the bullet, because when I look at the lip swatches, they're both more bright and intense than in the bullet. It's hard to know if that's actually the case because I think these are AI-generated lip swatches, but I'm hoping that someone from the brand with knowledge of the product is checking the images to make sure that the colors actually look like this in real life. If you've tried these, are the colors this intense? Because to me, these swatches make it look almost more like a lipstick than a lip balm. They're beautiful, just not balmy. So maybe these wouldn't be the ideal new luxury lip balm for me, but it also looks like Harry Styles is releasing lip balms. The brand is called Pleasing and the product is called Big Lip and Cheek Tint. It's a very down-to-earth name. The product swatches look pretty vivid, but the arm swatches look very promising. Apple Blush is the reddish shade and Peachy Cheeked is the kind of peachier shade, and they both look like they have a little bit of brown in them, which gets me excited. Quite Rosy looks like a cooler berry, so not so much my thing, but these look sheer, and that's what I'm looking for in a balm. It says the formula is packed with efficacious ingredients. I like that word. It's fun to say. Efficacious ingredients that, while depositing color, bring your glowing complexion to life with natural oils, butters, and flavors from natural fruit and flower extracts. What kind of ingredients do these have? Beeswax and coconut oil, jojoba oil, but it's all kind of like fancy, it's almost like marketing copy instead of an ingredients list. And on the web page, there doesn't seem to be an actual list of the ingredients. That makes it a little bit difficult for people with allergies. I just took a brief break and did a little bit of digging because Trend Mood said that the Harry Styles Lippy Cheeky thingies would also be coming to Sephora in March, but they're not there yet, so no ingredients list. But also, I'm not entirely sure how luxurious these lippies will be. The Pleasing website says they'll all be packaged in aluminum push-up tubes for easy on-the-go application. Aluminum push-up tubes, that makes them sound kind of like a push pop. So I'm not sure these are for me either. Let's move on to eyeshadows. In a very unexpected move, Charlotte Tilbury has decided she wants to emulate more of a drugstore aesthetic. Darling, plastic packaging, it's all the rage. But it's not what most luxury makeup lovers are typically drawn to. I think she's actually aiming to make it more like the Dior Backstage line, which has clear packages so that makeup artists can more easily see what they're reaching for. But if her goal is to make a product for makeup artists, then why would she have made it limited edition? I can see doing that for private consumers. People like me find it very difficult to go completely through an eyeshadow palette, so I wouldn't necessarily feel the need to repurchase it, but there's a much better chance that a working makeup artist would go through makeup palettes much more quickly just because they're working on so many more faces. And if you come to depend on a certain product to create certain looks, wouldn't you want to repurchase that same product over and over again? So the logic of this format eludes me. My only guess is that the company wanted to save money on the component, so they decided to sell it as a Dior backstage kind of thing, but it just seems a little bit weird to me. Despite that, my makeup monster really wants me to get these palettes, especially the super neutral one, and the Emerald Effect one, and the Denim Dimension one, because it looks like it has the potential to be a somewhat wearable blue for me, which is not easy to find. But my friend over at Beauty and the Beaker has swatched these and assured me that if I have the pop shots, then I don't need these palettes. And if you saw my audition box video, then you already know I got some of the Charlotte Tilbury pop shots for Christmas. In addition to that, I already own the Super Nudes Easy Eye palette from Charlotte Tilbury. This is one of my favorite neutral travel palettes. And I feel like if I combine this with my pop shots, I already kind of have the Super Neutrals palette. So it was pretty easy for me to convince my makeup monster that I don't need the Super Neutrals palette, but she keeps arguing that I don't have any colorful shadows in that formula. And so she wants all of them, especially the blue and the green one. Here's the thing, I just don't wear color that often on my eyes. The palettes are pretty to look at, but they just wouldn't get a whole lot of use if I owned them. So I'm sure they would be fun to play with once or twice, because based on the reviews I've seen, the quality seems to be much better than the packaging would suggest. But if I'm not going to get more than 1 or 2 uses out of the palette, there is no reason I should be buying them. And I have a feeling if I can just wait until the hype completely dies down and everybody just stops talking about them completely, I'll probably be perfectly fine and even glad that I don't get them. Speaking of beautiful color stories that I would probably rarely wear, Natasha Denona came out with her Bloom eyeshadow palette. And for some reason, I want to keep calling it the Bloomin' Onion palette. And I don't know why. It doesn't look anything like an onion. It doesn't remind me of an Outback Steakhouse. Maybe I'm just craving a Bloomin' Onion. But I don't think so. I think I'm just tired and my brain is muddling things up. But that would be an IP, right? Natasha Denona and Outback Steakhouse. God. But the palette itself honestly looks really nice. And the colors in this actually look like they would suit me. The pinks look like they lean slightly peachy, which is exactly what works for me. And there are a couple of warm purple leaning shades in there, which would work really well for me too. It's just, I've been so boring lately. If it's not brown or beige or taupe or grayish, I haven't been wearing it lately, at least not on my eyes. So yes, this is pretty. And yes, my makeup monster really wants it. But I just don't think this would be a wise purchase for me right now. Not the way I do my makeup at the moment. That could change. At some point, maybe I'll want to add more color. And the good news is this isn't a limited edition palette. If I change my mind in the future, I could still run out and get it. I just can't look at it for too long right now, because if I do, I will buy it. And the same goes for the Lisa Eldridge Betty eyeshadow palette. When I look at this, the brown and the taupe and the gold, they would work so well for my current makeup style, but they only make up half of the palette. And the lavender and the purple and that kind of shifty green, blue, pink duochrome shade, those 3 look really pretty. I just don't think I'd realistically use them. Because I used to own a beautiful lavender shadow. It was a single shadow, satin finish, sheer, gorgeous. Every look I ever made with that shadow, I really loved. But I always had to force myself to use it because I was never naturally in the mood to make a lavender eye look. So when my mom asked me if she could have the shadow, I just gave it to her and I haven't been pining for it since. I think that's a sign that I shouldn't get this palette because despite the fact that I really do like the way that lavender queen shade looks, I probably wouldn't use it. The shades I would use most in that palette are the brown, the taupe, and the gold, all of which I already own. I think the reason that my makeup monster is so obsessed with the Betty palette is threefold. Number one, I'm a fan of the story behind it. I feel like Lisa Eldridge put so much thought into the inspiration behind everything she does. It's always interesting. It always really sells it for me. Number two, I'm a fan of Lisa Eldridge herself. I feel like she was my first real makeup teacher, so I've always been interested in what she does. But number three, I've never tried any Lisa Eldridge shadows before, so I'm interested in the formula. She does offer every single shade in this palette as a single, so I'm not gonna lie, I have had Talk to the Paw, Posh, and High Maintenance in and out of my cart several times, along with the Burnt Umber mascara and the new Burnt Umber liner. But so far, I've been able to resist by simply playing with what I have and creating the looks I would create with the Betty palette with what I already own. But also, honestly, help has come from an unexpected source, and that's the fact that the ground coffee beans I always buy, their price has gone up by 30%. And I keep thinking to myself, if the rest of my groceries start to follow suit, I will be very glad if I don't buy this eyeshadow palette. But once again, I have to stop looking at it because if I don't, I will buy it. Oh look, Tower 28 did come out with new blushes. We've come full circle. Looks like they will be out on March 13th and they're called the GetSet Blur and Set Matte Powder Blushes. It's got rhythm. It says here, they'll instantly blur pores and smooth texture with a splash of vibrant color in a matte finish with built-in shine control that is sweat-proof to help makeup last all day. The whole blurring pores and smoothing texture thing gets me every time. But when I look at the colors, only two look like they'd be up my alley. Long Beach Iced Tea and Samo Spritzer. And when I look at the arm swatches, it looks like Long Beach Iced Tea is the only one that really speaks to me. Tower 28 is another brand that I hear great stuff about all the time, but I have yet to try. So I am curious about these. And it looks like Long Beach Iced Tea might even be a potential replacement for my nude pop blush. I'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll watch some other people's swatches. I'll see if I can swatch it in store, but I don't think that they sell them here in Germany, so I'd have to wait until the next time I'm on the road. But at least these are easy for me to resist at the moment because they don't come out for a few more days. But generally, I feel my resolve weakening. I feel like the more time I spend looking at makeup, the more demanding my makeup monster becomes. So I think I'm gonna try to calm her down by just going and swatching some of the things that I already have. Thanks for hanging out. If you wanna keep talking beauty, I've got another video for you right here. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell me what your makeup monster is tempted by, all that jazz. But even if you don't, I hope you have a great week and we can all remember that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.